In a small town about 2 hours from Chicago sits a Catholic university. Unlike most other religious institutions in America's Midwest, it has become one of the most recognizable and well-known in the country and even the world, mainly for one thing only. Whether it was from the Newt Rodney speech, the gold helmets, or that beautiful little bastard Rudy, Notre Dame's football team made this place world famous. The Fighting Irish are one of the blue bloods of the sport dating back to the early 1900s. I could rattle off symbols from this program that you are familiar with. From winning one for the Gipper to the Four Horsemen and Seven Mules of 1924, their rivalries against USC and Michigan, to their stubborn independence from conferences and touchdown Jesus. However, over the last 30 years, the luster from these golden domes has degraded into a dull reality. Notre Dame has been consistently one of the most overhyped teams in college football for over the last 3 decades. Year after year, they are projected to be in the conversation for a playoff spot or a national championship run, but always manage to kick their fans in their own golden domes no matter what. I am no stranger to this program. I have been a vocal and diehard Buckeye since I was a boy, but I did at one point consider myself a casual fan of the Irish. You could blame the TV deal with NBC for my corruption, but if you were raised a Roman Catholic kid and you turn on NBC on Saturday afternoons to see the beautiful Notre Dame Stadium, the players wearing those gold helmets, tapping that sign, marching out of the tunnel to that legendary fight song, while 80,000 Irish fans cheer them on, how could you not admire them? Their traditions and winning legacy grew with college football, even helped grow the sport and its popularity, and you cannot deny the impact they have had on the game. However, I am now a cynical bastard that told the Irish along with the church to fuck off years ago. The Irish of the last 3 decades have been nothing but disappointing, overrated, and at times fucking terrible. Teams have down years here and there, but the amount of failure while still being taken this seriously by the national media is just atrocious. And it's time I expose it all for the world to see. Welcome back to Storytime with Red, ya bastards. I fully expect there to be blowback from their fans, but in the end, the only ones to blame for the Irish getting the old West Virginia treatment on my channel is themselves. It's time we do the work of God and humble these Irish bastards. I shall now ascend to the top of touchdown Jesus, look to the heavens above, and cry out with a booming voice and honest conviction,
Police, get what you fucking deserve!
God's golden domes have lived up to expectations. As is tradition, the 4th season of a head coach tenure is make or break if you're at Notre Dame. Coaches are considered legendary if they win the national championship in year 4. Newt Rodney, Frank Leahy, Ara Parsegian, and Danny Devine all got rings in year 4. Now it's time for another legend of the game to complete the 4-year cycle. Entering the arena, Lou fucking Holtz. This Catholic son of a bus driver may not look like much, but he was a wolf in shepherd's clothing. He coached the same way he was raised, with strict discipline. He took the names off the backs of their jerseys, made them sit up straight in film study, and their eyes had to be firmly fixed on Lou when he spoke at all times. He didn't fuck around, and if you broke any of his rules, he would punish you in ways we now consider unimaginable. For example, when star players Ricky Watters and Tony Brooks were late for team dinner before hitting the road one night, Lou Holtz left them behind in South Bend as punishment. Now this is batshit insane for today's football, but it was even considered harsh back then for 2 reasons. First, they were his first string and second string running backs. Not to mention, Ricky Watters was pretty damn good and would have become a Super Bowl champion with the 49ers and a 5-time Pro Bowler after college. They had helped him tremendously en route to being undefeated and number 1 in the nation. The other reason this was insane, the game that they left those 2 players behind for was a showdown against the unbeaten and ranked 2nd in the nation USC Trojans. Yeah, Holtz put the whole season on the line because 2 of his best players were late to dinner to prove a point about the team being greater than the individual or some shit. He's either got the biggest balls in college football history or he was fucking insane. Now, you would think that this would backfire and cause Notre Dame to lose after having 2 of their top players not there that day. But not only did Notre Dame win, they won convincingly. With the shillelagh secured, they went on to fulfill the prophecy of the 4th-year head coach and locked up their 11th national title after destroying number 3 West Virginia in the Fiesta Bowl. The Fighting Irish were at their peak. Notre Dame was the gold standard of college football. If you wanted to win, if you wanted to be the best, if you wanted to be coached by the best, you went to Notre Dame. Nothing could possibly stop the Irish. Right? After a string of strong wins, defeating the likes of number 9 USC and number 7 Pittsburgh, and winning a high-stakes number 1 versus number 2 matchup against Michigan, God's bedazzled Foster kids have a rematch against the new number 7 in the country, Miami, in South Florida. You are 11-0 and destined for another national championship. Time to take those convicts back to court, am I right?
Out of the wishbone. Now dropping back to throw. Bryce looking for the rocket. And he's picked off by Rowan Smith.
Snell's in range.
Rice is intercepted by Clark. Clark down the sidelines. Inside of the 10, but a flag is down. They run it with McGuire. Touchdown. Erickson. Dawkins. Yes.
Fuck, that hurts. Not only did the convicts break out, but you threw them 2 interceptions en route to a 27-10 loss. Miami's revenge for losing to you last season is complete. The undefeated streak is dead, and there will be no repeat national championship for the Irish. You would return to Miami the following month and drown out your sorrows by beating the hideoff of Colorado in the Orange Bowl to reassert dominance. Well, time to beat up good old Stanford. Shouldn't be too insane. The Lord's Midwestern Gold Mine hasn't lost a game at home when they're ranked number 1 in the country since the 1950s. Not to mention, Stanford was off to a bad start at 2-2 and spinning their tires in the mud. Just take care of business and focus on Miami in a couple of weeks.
Second down and goal, and it's Bardell, and he is in.
Okay, well, maybe don't look too far ahead right now. Thanks to some freshly baked turnovers, Notre Dame has blown a 24-7 lead. The good news is that you still have control of the game for the most part thanks to leading 31-22 late in the third. Just protect the ball and you will escape with the win.
Because their linebackers are so quick.
Here's Stonehouse punting it, line drive short, and that's fumbled, and Stanford has that football. Let's see, well, maybe not. They should have it. They had 4 men there, and Stanford has it. Adrian Jarrell fumbled.
Oh my fucking God. I know it was windy that day, but this is atrocious. Stanford, like any other team worth a damn, capitalizes on the field position and scores again, making it 31-29. After Notre Dame failed to do anything on their next drive, Stanford took over the ball with 6 minutes left and drove it all the way down the field and even affording a 4th and 2 to keep the drive alive.
Ticking off right now.
Second and goal. Bardell,
Well, that sucks. Despite them crashing into a wall of fucking trees, God's Golden Gridiron Gang did indeed beat the second-ranked Miami Hurricanes 2 weeks later, propelling them back up in the rankings. 3 weeks after that, they would solidify their return to the number 1 spot by beating number 9 Tennessee in Neyland Stadium. That wall of trees was just merely a speed bump. Only a brick wall could stop you now. Its name was Penn State.
Craig Figure. He's got it.
Okay, now your national title hopes are dead. At least beating the hideoff of Colorado in the Orange Bowl will reassert dominance.
Your screen.
Intercepted by Colorado. Beyond Figures. And Figures runs out the clock. And the Figures may be number 1 for Colorado.
Congratulations, Notre Dame. You let Colorado split the national championship with Georgia Tech at your own expense. Wait a minute, what the fuck did I even just say? Regardless of the sour end of the season, Notre Dame inks a deal with NBC to become the first college football team to have an exclusive broadcast deal with a major TV network. It's all Notre Dame, all season, motherfuckers. You got whacked by the Wolverines in the Big House in week 2. Now, I know they were number 3 in the nation, so it's not like it was an upset or some shit. You have plenty of time to redeem yourselves. You even beat the shit out of number 12 Pittsburgh on your way to a showdown with Tennessee again. Just beat them like you did in Neyland last year. It's at home, for fuck's sake.
Fake to Hayden. Kelly throws, intercepted. It's Tom Carter. He's got a chance to go all the way. Touchdown, Notre Dame.
Well, fucking done, God's golden crybabies. You're already up 31-7 in the first half, so this fucker's over. Just run the clock out.
But this is a 32 and it's blocked by Tennessee. So finally a big play by the defense of the Vols, and they still have the ball. And now Miley's in the open. Only one man to beat. Could go all the way. Floyd Miley. All the way for a touchdown. Oh my. 4-yard line. First and goal. Aaron Hayden. Touchdown Tennessee. 3rd and 12. Great block by Culver. Intercepted. Dale Carter, his 2nd of the season.
But Notre Dame's left. There's the safety blitz.
And the screen, it's going to work. Aaron Hayden, touchdown.
Irish? Are you choking on Lucky Charms or some shit? Tennessee is on the brink of the biggest comeback win in the history of Notre Dame Stadium. They just took the lead on you in the 4th. Just drive down the field, kick a field goal, and escape with your national title hopes. Wait, they injured your kicker earlier in the game?
Notre Dame wins.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
Tennessee 35, Notre Dame 34.
Well, season's over thanks to the miracle in South Bend. You can at least take out some anger on Penn State, right? Now, just gonna lay down and die in Happy Valley? Good Lord, what happened to playing like a champion? The Lord's comatose children would eventually kick out of their haze around New Year's Day for a Sugar Bowl win, but nobody in South Bend cares anymore. The standard is excellence, and this season wasn't it. Back to the drawing board. It's time to get that sweet, sweet revenge on Michigan for last year. The Bible commands in Deuteronomy 32:35, "Vengeance is mine and recompense. Their foot shall slip in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things to come hasten upon them." The problem is the text didn't know which team to apply this to here, as the game ended with a tie.
Tie game? What the hell? This is outrageous. I've never been so proud of them.
They're both losers! Losers!
Well, thanks to this non-result, you slip from 3rd to 6th in the top 25, which isn't the end of the world. You have all season to make it up. Following week, you would slay the Spartans. The week after that, you would snuff out the Boilermakers and pull a Red Dead Redemption move by committing train robbery in the process. You were on such a high, you proceeded to drive it straight into a wall of fucking trees. Turns out the track to a national title ended near Palo Alto, and Stanford took your asses to the woodshed. With that tie against Michigan already, your season is fucked. You get a cheap Cotton Bowl trophy after a blowout win over the Aggies for your troubles, but again, the standard is excellence. Next season will be critical. Okay, no more fucking around. The gloves are finally coming off. Michigan touches grass as you finally get past them in week 2 by a score of 27-23. There's nothing else in your way now. You are destroying opponents left, right, and center. As the season draws to a close, only one game becomes important. The game that could help determine the national champion. A matchup against number 1 Florida State in South Bend. Hyped up as the game of the century. It is actual fucking cinema.
When summer is finally forgotten, as daylight dwindles sooner each day, look around the corner, just beyond Main Street. Chances are, there's a game in a backyard. Children in the midst of imagining. Some with a notion, innocent but powerful. You eagerly followed your team, listening to that distant voice. You couldn't sleep after a victory. Couldn't wait till the day when it might be your time. And then that day arrived. That moment, that affirmation, when you were told you were special. And so you worked and you sacrificed, pointing toward that day in the fall when all of America would be watching you, watching your team. The kind of day dreamed of in a backyard just around the corner from Main Street. Here are the questions confronting number 1 Florida State. Are these to be the Seminoles who will at last run the full gauntlet of grueling competition and withering expectations? Is he to be Florida State's first Heisman winner? Is he to be, finally, a national champion? But between these hopes and their fulfillment, there is the myth, the stadium in South Bend, and history's team, Notre Dame.
Here come the Irish. 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 Here come the Irish.
11 national titles, 7 Heisman trophies. No other school has won as many championships. No other school has had as many All-Americans. And in their home, you also play against their past. Galloping shadows from 1924. Echoes of legendary coaches. In South Bend, they've become accustomed to teams chasing championships. And now comes another, inspired by a tradition without equal. So here we are, perfect seasons at stake, a game in a perfect place, a collision for history. A school hoping to finally ascend to college football's summit. A school hoping to add to its already abundant legend. Number 1 Florida State and number 2 Notre Dame. The coming of a day dreamed of in backyards just around the corner from Main Street.
I encourage you to go back and watch this game in full, as it was one of the most hyped up games of the decade. I can't do it full justice here, so here's just the cliff notes. Florida State, led by Heisman hopeful Charlie Ward, gave Notre Dame the unusual distinction of being underdogs in their own home. But Ward was not playing at 100% as he missed the week prior with a rib injury and was still nursing it coming into the game. This showed as the Irish ran off to a 31-17 lead thanks to running back Lee Becton running all over the Seminole defense and a Charlie Ward that is injured being relatively ineffective for most of the game. However, in the fourth quarter, Charlie Ward showed why he would indeed go on to win the Heisman. In excruciating pain, he leads Florida State down the field and on 4th and fucking 20 hits Kes McCorvey with an incredible touchdown pass. With it being 31-24, the Florida State defense rode the momentum and forced a rare 3-and-out for the Irish that afternoon. Once they got the ball back, it only took 3 plays for the Noles to reach the red zone. With the ball on the Notre Dame 14 and only 3 seconds left to play, it all came down to this. The Irish are for real. The Seminoles have been set packing to end the season after an absolute war. And for the Irish, they are now off to the Orange Bowl to play Nebraska for the national champion. Wait. There's still one more game? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
Yeah. Oh God, how the fuck do you let Boston College ruin your season after you took down Florida State? Holy shit. Well, after your little brothers from Boston embarrassed you, Florida State would reclaim the top spot after only dropping to number 2 after their loss to you the previous week. You would eke out a narrow victory against Texas A&M in the Cotton Bowl. With Florida State's win over Nebraska in the Orange Bowl, there was no chance you were getting the title. A couple of smaller polls and organizations that were credited by the NCAA would throw the Irish a couple pity claims for the title, but Notre Dame has never claimed to be a national champion in 1993. It was an absolutely brutal way to end the season, and sadly for the Irish, it's about to go downhill fast. Honest to God, I think Boston College broke them, because this is where the bullshit truly began. God clearly had plans to humble your asses after a lengthy reign of terror, as despite being third in the preseason polls, you stumble your way to a 6-4-1 record. Everything went wrong. First off, how about losing to Michigan at home? Not enough? How about getting blown out by Boston College, losing to the fucking Mormons the following week, getting scalped by the Seminoles soon after? Oh, you still want more pain, eh? Because we saved the most American of pain for last. How about a fucking tie against USC to end the season? Lou Holtz was irate. Nothing went right. In the end, you got a invite to the Fiesta Bowl? You're joking, right? Wait. Does this mean I need to talk about the fucking Bowl Coalition again? Okay, look, as I've mentioned in part 1 of my national title videos, the Bowl Coalition back in the mid-1990s was really bad at crowning a national champion. But what I didn't have time to mention in that video was that it was even worse with its other top bowl games outside of the national championship. Remember, there was no Big Ten and no Pac-12 champions involved due to the Rose Bowl sending mafia hits out on anyone who would dare try to destroy tradition. So the coalition games were split into Tiers 1 and Tier 2, with Tier 1 games being the Sugar, Cotton, Orange, and Fiesta Bowls. The conference champs of the Big 8, SEC, Big East, and Southwest conferences were invited to one of these games by default, with preference given to their traditional conference bowl tie-ins. If the top 2 teams in the nation weren't locked up in their own bowls that prevented them from playing elsewhere, then those 2 games could be selected for a 1 versus 2 championship game. The other teams that could be invited were conference runner-ups, the Pac-10 runner-up, the third-place SEC team, thanks to the Citrus Bowl being a little shit with tradition itself and requiring themselves to take the SEC runner-up, and Notre Dame, as long as they were bowl eligible, of course. In 1994, the top 2 conference champions were Nebraska and Miami, and since neither team was locked in and required to play an individual bowl game, per tradition, they got to duke it out in the Orange for the national championship, and we've covered that before extensively. However, SEC champion Florida and their in-state rival Florida State went at it in the Sugar Bowl. Not bad, right? Well, sadly, this is where the fun ended. The Cotton Bowl was the Pac-10 runner-up USC taking on the Southwest Conference champion Texas Tech. Thanks to a 10-1 Texas A&M currently serving a postseason ban by the NCAA. Due to this, it was a 5-way tie for the conference title, and despite Tech being 6-5, the Red Raiders were selected. And as expected, they were completely slaughtered. Which leaves the Fiesta Bowl. Colorado was the Big 8 runner-up, so no worries there, but their possible opponents were either Tennessee or NC State. With both sitting at 8-3, the selection committee kind of thought that they would not be enough to bring eyes to the game or sell tickets. But Notre Dame, sitting at just barely bowl eligible, and one of the most legendary and recognized teams in college football, that would guarantee good ratings and sell tickets. Fiesta Bowl would think with their wallets and select 6-4-1 Notre Dame because, say it with me, kids, money talks and bullshit walks. They would do their best Scrooge McDuck impression as God-scared shitless leprechauns got trampled by a herd of buffaloes 41-24. It was 31-3 at the half. The fans hated it. The game was a pile of shit, and alongside the other bad bowl games and the fact that a 6-4-1 Irish team was selected over 2 8-3 teams for a major bowl game, not to mention the death of the Southwest Conference, it forced the coalition to be thrown out after 3 years for the Bowl Alliance, which was also trash. Anyways, back to the Irish. Alright, look, last year was pretty bad all around, but we have a new team and Lou Holtz is as good as ever. You even ranked 9th in the preseason poll. Let's get out there and you lost to Northwestern. Big Ten's Vanderbilt. Oh yeah, this was their annual once-in-a-generation good season where they weren't dog shit. Okay, alright, definitely a fluke and easy to underestimate. It was also week 1, so a national championship is still technically possible. Just need a few things to go your way. You eventually slaughter a number 13 Texas team a couple of weeks later, so everything's fine. Wait, you play Ohio State?
Third down and 1 for Ohio State. 1.5 is the truth of it. More than 1. This is Eddie George turning the corner. Touchdown! In front of the 20-yard line. Eddie George finds a hole. Sean Wooden runs him down, but it's a big one for Eddie.
I like this kid.
Eddie George. Touchdown.
Like Caesar himself, Brutus and his buddies stabbed God's papier-mâché defense repeatedly thanks to Eddie George. You can at least drown your sorrows by upsetting number 5 USC. Hey, Irish, can you please pick a fucking lane? Fuck it, just get your win back against Florida State in the Orange Bowl and end on a high note.
And they're looking at 2nd and goal from the 3. Touchdown!
Never mind. Alright, now you're ranked number 6 in the preseason. We're running the table this year, right? Wait, you play Ohio State again?
Pearson. Hit off one man. Touchdown. Goal, Ohio State. Play action fake. And the touchdown easily to Calhoun. What's good for the Irish is good for... He's at the tailback spot of the eye. Here's Pearson. Easy touchdown.
This is a juggernaut. This is an offensive juggernaut. This is not a bad Notre Dame defense.
Pass complete. Tight end. Touchdown. DJ Jones.
Well, shit. At least it's a soft schedule the rest of the year. You lost to unranked Air Force, Army, and Navy's tinfoil cousins? Good lord, you're done now, right?
3 wide receivers to the left. Hollis. Deflected. Southern Cal wins it in overtime. The Trojans have done it. Their first win over Lou Holtz and the Fighting Irish since 1982. A huge moment in the history of this great rivalry.
And that completes embarrassment. You lost to USC for the first time in ages. At least there's the Liberty Bowl, right? Wait, you're not bowling? You're sitting out? I mean, I give you shit because you're Notre Dame and your standards are artificially inflated, but most other schools would kill for this opportunity. Oh, you think these lower bowl games are just a cash grab and you only play in the big bowls? Just like the church, you're full of contradictions. The good news is Holtz is set to rebuild. Oh, you thought I meant Notre Dame? Fuck that, he's gonna go home and rebuild his garden. You'll see him pop up in South Carolina in a few years anyway. Irish, God has sent you to hell, and the devil's name is Bob Davie. Coming in ranked 11th in the country, you would start the season 2-5 before winning out and squeaking into bowl eligibility at 7-5. But that doesn't matter, right? Y'all are too good for this and way above an invite to the Independence Bowl. You just rejected them last year, the season's over. Wait, now you're going to play a mediocre bowl game? Guess 2 straight seasons of missing a bowl would hurt recruiting. Not that being fed to the Tigers of LSU helped at all. Not good, but it was a rebuild season with a new coach. Remember that 4-year rule. If Notre Dame has a good coach, then historically they will win a national title by that point. Have patience, Irish fans. Your time will come again. Ah yes, a hard-fought win by Notre Dame against LSU. Well done, boys. Let's kneel this one out and get out of here. LSU had 3 timeouts still? Ah, shit. Just take a knee in the end zone and take the safety. It's not going to matter.
Quickly back, and tackled for the safety with 3 seconds left. So it's 39-36.
That was the corner blitz by LeBlanc, the strong safety, and Jarius Jackson didn't see him. If he had seen him, he would have been able to run out those last 3 seconds. And did Jackson get hurt? Oh, man.
In probably the most pointless play you can imagine, you just injured your fucking quarterback. No wonder you lost to USC the week after this in the Gator Bowl to Georgia Tech. That said, you still finished 9-3 and end the year back in the top 25. Yes, that was a serious mistake, but this Bob Davie guy is Lou Holtz's hand-picked successor, for God's sake. Just trust the process. Wait, fuck, I didn't mean trust him that much. You finished 5-7 after losing 4 straight to end the year. Okay, this was a setback, but the 4th year is about to rise on South Bend. Time for their national championship run. Ah, shit. Turns out some boosters believed too much in giving to others as they felt others should give to them and provided players some improper benefits. This is the first time in Irish football history the NCAA has caught them fucking around. NCAA slaps them on the wrist for 2 years probation and a scholarship reduction for football. I'm sure it won't seriously damage your recruiting, right? Sadly, the prophecy doesn't come to pass. You don't even sniff the national championship. You lost to number 1 Nebraska and number 23 Michigan State right out of the gate. While the prophecy of the 4th year was up in flames, you still played well down the stretch and finished 9-2, which was enough to make the Fiesta Bowl against... Wait, Oregon State? How the hell did they get here? Oh, hell yeah, this will be a blowout.
Simonton bulldozing his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Oregon State.
Except it was you that got blown out. Oregon State was having its own once-in-a-generation good season. I'm sure blowing big bowl games won't become a trademark for Notre Dame going forward.
Foreshadowing is a literary device in which...
Turns out that resurgence you saw early on was just a fluke. You went 5-6. The day after your last game where you did beat Purdue, the school told Bob Davie to get the fuck out. Simply put, 2 losing seasons in a row is unacceptable to God's forgotten bastards. It was long past time for Notre Dame to return to glory, and they had just the man to do it. George O'Leary.
Hold it!
The problem, as it turns out, is that O'Leary had, let's just say, told some white lies. For the last 20 years, he would brag about how he was a 3-time letterman at the University of New Hampshire in football. But when a local paper called the university to ask about O'Leary's days as a player after Notre Dame had hired him, they politely informed them that good old Georgie was a lying sack of shit. Not only did he not earn any letterman honors at New Hampshire, he never even played football for New Hampshire. The school initially wanted to defend O'Leary. I mean, hell, this is a minor thing to lie about after all. You look at his coaching record, you see that he led Georgia Tech to 5 winning seasons in the 90s and was the 2000 Coach of the Year. Made-up story about your playing days is frankly not a big enough controversy to lose your coaching job on its own. I mean, who hasn't padded a resume before, right? But lying about having a master's degree while trying to get hired by a university definitely is a major fucking problem. Turns out the school that O'Leary said he got his master's degree in, NYU Stony Brook, didn't even fucking exist. He just combined the very real New York University and Stony Brook University schools into one school, when in reality they are 2 completely independent schools that are over an hour away from each other. That's a pretty bad look to coach a university by lying about your degree level. It was blatant, and Notre Dame would not tolerate it. They forced him to resign after a few days on the job. O'Leary would never coach a football team again in Indiana because he did go on to build the foundation for UCF to rise to national prominence. So if you ever want to find out how UCF began its journey to national prominence, you can thank Notre Dame. Eventually, Notre Dame would have to settle with Mike Shanahan. John Gruden? Shit. Okay, Tyrone Willingham will do it, I guess. He's there, he's competent, and he's not a liar, I think. We will kind of hope he goes 10-1 every year while secretly hoping for him to fail. Tyrone Willingham would take control of the Irish and, defying all the negativity by the school, win 8 straight to reach number 4 in the nation. This is what returning to glory truly looks like. Going from unranked and not expecting much back to where you belong. The Irish are once again a dominant force in college football. Only a brick wall could stop you. Its name was the Eagles. Your little brother from Boston College once again played spoiler and knocked you out of the national title hunt. Maybe you can rectify your season by going on the road against a highly ranked USC team and knocking them down a peg.
They're down in 5. And it's a rainbow to America.
Gator Bowl against NC State.
Willingham fumbles it. The ball goes with time, intercepted. Johnson.
Johnson again.
Third interception of the game.
Unbelievable.
Return to glory, my ass. How about choking down a dual set of 3-game losing streaks, including blowout losses to Michigan, USC, and Florida State? Unfortunately for Notre Dame admins, the season didn't end. You went into the final week of the season 5-6 and just needed to beat Syracuse to be bowl eligible. Look, it's fucking Syracuse. They're historically a pushover. Just get in and get out.
So now Syracuse down in the red zone again. They've got things rolling here in the third quarter. First down at the Notre Dame 15. Ray is straight up the middle. Touchdown.
The team formerly known as the Orangemen blow you out. The Buzzards are starting to circle over Coach Tyrone.
The defense could get it done.
Barry Croton, though, ready to air this one out for
Congratulations, Notre Dame. Your Mormon cousins to the west got to beat you up again. Probably doesn't help that Willingham can't seem to even beg players to come to Notre Dame anymore. Your recruiting classes have plummeted to its lowest ranking in decades. Oh, and the school still doesn't give a fuck about him. This embarrassment of a 6-5 season was too much for the university to handle. This is Notre Dame. We must be successful. We need a coach we can believe in, not this guy we found on the clearance aisle at the dollar store. Sure, we tolerated Jerry Faust until his contract expired, but to hell with waiting. We want to win now. Fuck our morals and the fact we never fired anybody in the middle of their contract before. 4 years for a national title? Fuck you, Willingham. You've been fired within 3. 21-15 in 3 seasons is a stain on this program we will never erase. Despite being overrated sacks as shit for over a decade now, Notre Dame won't stop thinking they are the top of college football for some reason. While many outside the program think Notre Dame were being entitled Irish bastards, I don't think Willingham would have been able to get the job done there. That said, Notre Dame already had eyes on a new coach. One that has turned 2 different programs into winners in the last 4 years. Urban fucking Meyer. He even has ties to the school as an assistant coach back in the late 90s. Come on back home, Urban, and lead us to glory. What? He's going to Florida? That traitor! That damn Judas! We raised him, we built him into the man he is, and he chose to swap? Who cares if he didn't want to recruit nationally and just wanted to be with his family more? Have you seen what that man does in a bar? Fucking bullshit. We don't need him. We need someone who truly bleeds Notre Dame. Someone who's already won championships. Notre Dame alumni Charlie Weis. Lead us back to glory. After all, Bill Belichick's assistant coaches must be brilliant. You went 9-2 and are number 8 in the nation. You were even back where you belong, beating number 3 Michigan earlier in the season. You walk into the Fiesta Bowl the cock of the walk, with so much potential for the future. Ignore the fact that Ohio State beat your asses pillar to post, so you still haven't won a major bowl game since the mid-90s. Here's a contract extension for a total of 10 years and $40 million. The Irish of 2006 are going to be legendary. You are number 2 in the nation with Michigan coming to town. Time to prove why you belong in the national title picture by getting the piss beaten out of you. You have a chance still to get back into the national championship race, though, by winning the last game of the season. If you beat number 3 USC, you might be able to sneak in if some crazy bullshit happens. Remember who you are.
He's on the linebacker, motioning out. Moody going down middle. Got Jared again, who's still running free now. Going for the end zone. Touchdown, Trojans, his third touchdown of the night, 43 yards. And now it looks like the road to Glendale, Arizona is paved with Trojans.
You are overrated. Have fun being mauled by the Tigers on Bourbon Street. Congratulations, Notre Dame. You made history yet again. This was the first time you ever started the season 0-5. Holy shit. And you finished 3-9. The season included losses to Navy and Air Force. 2007 as a whole was just a wild season, though, so we can just chalk this up to a fluke, right? Remember the 4-year rule. Next season, the Echoes will awaken. If the Echoes woke up, they promptly went back to bed. You are incredibly mid. You finished with a winning record solely because you won the Hawaii Bowl. Charlie, I don't know what else to tell you, man. This was season 4. You have one bowl game win under your belt, and it was a rusty pineapple. The expectations were high for the Notre Dame administrators. It is now BCS or bust. This is your last chance. All right, Charlie, your tenure is on life support after you lost to USC and Michigan earlier in the season. That's not great, but as long as you finish in the top 10, you have a shot at a BCS bowl.
As you can see in that picture.
Dawson from his own end zone, sacked for a safety.
Nope, that's it. Now you're fucked. You lost to Navy at home. Fans at home probably didn't realize it then, but this was the moment Weis lost his job. The rest of the season didn't matter as the Irish limped dick to a 6-6 finish. Notre Dame once again played the "we're too good for this" card and declined a bowl game invite as Charlie Weis was canned the Monday after the final loss of the season to Stanford. Time to get a new coach, and preferably the one we actually want the first time. Welcome, your new overlord, fresh from the dark streets of Cincinnati, Brian fucking Kelly. You had the toughest schedule in the nation on a rebuild year. Be grateful you won 7 games. Enjoy a Sun Bowl win at the expense of Miami. The Catholics and convicts are now brothers in mediocrity. Truly a beautiful thing. Enjoy another 8-5 season with a bowl win, this time knocking off your old rivals in Florida State. 2 bowl wins in a row is an impressive feat despite them being mediocre mid-card games. Now we just wait for the inevitable collapse. Wait, you didn't collapse. The 4-year prophecy is back and is ahead of schedule? You went undefeated en route to a number 1 ranking and a spot in the national championship? I'll be damned. The Irish are finally back. You can send Mentai Te'au all the catfish he wants. He almost won the Heisman as a fucking defensive player. We're gonna reclaim what's rightfully ours. Wait, you're playing who? Yeah! Oh God. Oh God. Oh, it's hideous. Oh my God. I can't watch. No. No. No.
Third and 1. He gets the call. Steps through it. Brings into daylight. 10. Hit it in his own down short. For 54. Touchdown. The other Williams. Michael Williams. Let's go back.
This is the game that would kill the BCS. It was already mortally wounded the year prior, but this was the mercy kill that finally put it to bed. A game that paired 2 historic programs in Alabama and Notre Dame under the biggest and brightest lights in the sport, and it fell flat. The most embarrassing loss in Notre Dame history to this point. It proved what many already knew. Notre Dame was an overrated program. The signs were obvious earlier in the season when they barely beat the Mormons in Pittsburgh. But no, polls got to be blinded by the gold domes. Well, no more. On a national level, you've been exposed. And it only gets worse from here. You have decided the best thing for the future of the team is to get into bed with the ACC, a conference that, outside of the long-standing rivalry with Florida State, you have next to nothing in common with. Why not the Big Ten? You have more rivalries in history with these teams than any other conference. Well, the answer comes in 3 parts. First, Notre Dame feared their contract with NBC would be terminated by joining the Big Ten. Second, they didn't want to give up their independence as a school and submit to the will of a conference. And finally, the Big Ten has told them no thanks before. And the reason why that happened is not a good look for the Big Ten today. Okay, look, I know this is a long video as it is, but there's probably not going to be another time I can actually talk about this, so please just follow me closely as we get lost in the forest of all knowledge yet again. Alright, so a few times during college football's heyday, Notre Dame actually applied for and were denied entry into the Big Ten. This is mainly because Fielding Yost, that one, the legendary Michigan head coach, was a fucking bigot. I'm not saying this just because I hate Michigan. He was a legitimately fervent anti-Catholic, something that used to be pretty common in America at the turn of the century. In 1909, Michigan and Notre Dame played each other, and Notre Dame won for the first time. Yost would then cancel the game they scheduled in 1910, claiming, without evidence, that Notre Dame had ineligible players on their team. He then went a step further and told the Big Ten that Notre Dame was to be blackballed from ever joining the conference. Notre Dame, in return, embraced their independence and began playing teams coast to coast rather than staying in their immediate area. So if you ever want someone to blame for kickstarting the mythical rise of the Golden Domes, going coast to coast with national rivalries, while not joining the Big Ten once, you can squarely point the finger at Fielding Yost being a fucking bigot. Proving that there is no such thing as poetic justice, Michigan would flatten you in front of 115,000 at the Big House in the second-to-last game of the annual rivalry, expressing their anger at the long-time rivalry being ended over money and a perception that they didn't want to play tough opponents. Students in Ann Arbor referenced the Irish to being chickens leading up to the game and did the chicken dance as you walked off the field. It would be the first of 4 losses that year en route to a pinstripe win over... Wait, where's the damn trophy? Oh, for God's sake. Unfortunately, all those wins from this and the season prior were vacated by the NCAA due to an athletic trainer being a little too generous with player benefits and also helping athletes cheat on their homework. So technically, that unbeaten season you had in 2012 never actually happened. What a shame. What a waste. You begin the new season 6-0 before you completely collapse to a 7-5 finish. At least you upset LSU in the Music City Bowl. You get humbled by Clemson and Stanford for a 10-2 finish and miss the playoffs. Okay, not great, but at least you get the Fiesta Bowl. Wait, you're playing Ohio State? The rainbow ended not with a pot of gold, but the pit of misery. 4-8, your worst season since 2007. The school, for once, shows some patience with Brian Kelly and not threatening to throw him out. However, if you want to keep him around, you better get it moving and quick. Rebound to a 9-3 record. You missed the playoffs, obviously, after being clobbered by Georgia, Miami, and Stanford, but you can smell the potential next season. Take this Citrus Bowl win as a sign of things to come. What did I tell ya? You ran the table and earned a trip to Dallas and the playoff semifinals. You're even up against a familiar foe in Clemson, who you lost to last year. I think we know where this is going.
A deep throw by Lawrence, a lot of contact. Justin Ross broke free from it. He's down for Trevor Lawrence. Down the seam, open man, Ross again. Touchdown, Clemson.
Once again, proven to the haters that you are still overrated sacks of shit. Tigers beat the chocolate out of your coins and send you back to South Bend in pieces. At least here's next year. On second thought, you scheduled Georgia in Athens week 2. Why you wanted to schedule an execution for yourself, I don't know, but at least you were competitive. If you can run the table the rest of the way, got blown out by Michigan, eh? I would say it works out in the end, but welcome back to 2020, a time that we all want to forget but cannot stop talking about. Due to the pandemic and most of the conferences restricting games to conference opponents only on limited schedules, Notre Dame is faced with the hard decision. Do they sit out for the 2020 season and hope to return in 2021 with an independent schedule, or join the ACC for one season only and guarantee they can play some fucking games? They chose the latter, and for the first time in the history of the Fighting Irish, Notre Dame would play football as a conference member. Very basically, Notre Dame played 9 out of its 10 games, with the finale against Wake Forest being called due to a COVID outbreak. This would include an incredible win in overtime against number 1 Clemson. However, in the ACC Championship, Clemson got revenge in a blowout victory over the top-ranked Irish. Now, normally, this would pretty much eliminate Notre Dame, but since the Pac-12 was neutered to a 6-game season, and frankly, it was already all fucked up anyways, they squeaked into the playoffs as a 4 seed and got the honor of being destroyed by Alabama in the most cursed fucking Rose Bowl to ever be played. I'm skipping a lot because 2020 as a whole is its own video, and I will keep this beast of a book firmly shut and locked in its cage for another day. Moving on. Alright, back to normal. A 4-0 start to the season, ranked 9th in the nation, coming into a home game against number 7 Cincinnati? Yes, you heard that right. Number 7 Cincinnati. Brian Kelly's former team before you hired him away is ranked higher than you. The Bearcats take you to school and maul you 24-13 on your own turf. I would say you had a shot at making the playoffs with just 1 loss, but Cincinnati also won out. The playoff committee snubbed you as a result, finishing at number 5, while Cincinnati gets the all-important number 4 seed and makes the playoffs. Congratulations, Irish. You allowed the first ever non-Power 5 team to make it into the playoffs. The church wine has been replaced with Jack Daniels and then replaced again with bleach when Brian Kelly decides to fuck off for the bayous of LSU before Notre Dame loses another Fiesta Bowl. Welcome your new coach, Marcus Freeman. May God help you, sir.
Here's Buckner, pressure coming. Buckner stands in and fires space, intercepted. Gilmore down the sideline, break 6, Gilmore.
This season was just bipolar as all hell. You lost to Marshall in week 2, started 0-2, yet demolished number 4 Clemson 35-14. Up and down you go, making Irish fans puke in shame everywhere. But you got a win in the Gator Bowl over a ranked South Carolina. It doesn't sound like much, but it's actually your 3rd bowl win against a ranked opponent in the last 3 decades. We're going uphill from here, right? You survive all of your early games and are 4-0, ranked 9th in the nation going into a fight against Ohio State. After a defensive stalemate, it all came down to this. Ohio State was on the 1-yard line, poised to strike.
You got to be alert for a run here as the last play of the game. Give it to him, train him up the middle. He's in. Touchdown, Ohio State.
Ohio State gets the go-ahead touchdown and the win. That was a tough game and a tough loss. But at least you rebound with wins against Duke and Louisville. Oh, you lost to Louisville? Fuck it. Take out your frustrations on an overrated USC team. At least Clemson is weak and unranked, so you can lose to them too? Oh, fucking hell. At least there's a Sun Bowl. We're in the middle of the 2024 season as this was being made and uploaded, and already the Irish look poised for a run yet again. In a rare move, they opened the season in a true road test against Texas A&M. They marched right into Kyle Field in front of over 100,000 screaming Aggies and won a hard-fought game. I would pretend to be shocked and surprised about what happened next, but I already did that in another video. Long story short, they continued to be bipolar and lost at home to NIU the following week. Probably the most shocking upset since Northwestern took them down in 1995. They appear to be back on the rise for now and could sneak into the playoff as a low seed, but odds are they are going to fall apart in the first round if they do make it. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a long time, not just because of the memes I've made on this channel about it, but because genuinely, I fucking hate how seriously this team is taken. They're a good team. There's no denying that. Despite everything I said throughout the entirety of this past hour, there is one thing I will say about Notre Dame. They are a good football team, but national championship contenders? No. They have not been national championship contenders in all seriousness since 1993. That was the last time anybody should have taken this team seriously. I don't give a shit what you say about 2012. I don't give a shit about what you say about the Charlie Weis era or the Marcus Freeman era or the Brian Kelly era. No point in time was this team seriously a contender than when Lou Holtz ran the ship. The media seems to forget that the fact that Notre Dame is not in a conference is both an anchor to this team as much as it is an allure. The fact is, in today's college football, you need to be in a conference to be taken seriously and to make it anywhere. Not because of the competition level, but for mainly money. Money is what drives it home. When NBC goes up to renegotiate their contract with Notre Dame, there is a sneaking suspicion that I have that Notre Dame is going to be on the outside looking in terms of the amount of money they could be making if they were a member full-time of the ACC or even of the Big Ten. And I believe truly that the future of Notre Dame will involve them joining a conference. That is the only way that Notre Dame will be able to survive long-term into the future. But as for now, there is only one thing that I can compare this football team to sum it all up. They are the Dallas Cowboys. Year after year, day after day, week after week, this team is taken seriously by all of the analysts and the so-called experts because of the prestige of the team. Prestige only gets you so far. It gets you more attention. It does not give you more trophies. Just like the Cowboys, your best days were in the early 90s, Notre Dame. And I would enjoy the memories if you have them. And if you don't have memories of the early 90s, well, you're kind of fucked then, aren't you?